What's up, guys? Nick from P2W Fantasy here on Friday. Wanted to drop a video from the office here, rocking the Nelly, a Band-Aid on the face is what it is. So what I got going on, talking about two wide receivers from this rookie class. Wanted to just briefly break down why these are two guys to consider in your rookie drafts. I had one of my rookie drafts last weekend for a league that I run, and I'm supposed to have another one this weekend for a league my brother runs, just rookies in the draft. So when it gets to beyond that second round, it's time to start thinking a little bit deeper on some of these guys and what values they can bring. So I'm going to pull this slide up here. There we go. So defining sleeper. So when I talk about these two guys, you probably have heard about them before, but you can't assume that the typical or the casual fantasy player knows all these guys in the draft. Even everybody on this list, you as a viewer might know these guys, but don't assume that the casual fantasy player is going to know all of these rookies coming in. So the sleeper definition I'm going to say is the guys outside of the players listed right here. So we go down the list on the left side. These are the wide receivers that are typically going in the first, second round. Chase, Smith, Waddle, Bateman, Elijah Moore, and Rondale Moore, and then Terrace Marshall Jr. So these guys are typically going in the first and second rounds. So that's already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wide receivers off the board right there. And in your rookie draft, that's 7 guys already picked. And that's not counting the guys to your right: Najee Harris, running back; Kyle Pitts, tight end; Etienne and Williams, 2 more running backs; Carter and Sermon are going in the second round, some leagues, probably for the most part. Pat, another tight end, is going at the end of some second, early thirds, or in the middle of thirds, kind of all over the place, but another guy to consider. And then I'm not even listing the quarterbacks, but think about Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, and Trey Lance. Those guys might be going in the first 2-3 rounds of your rookie drafts as well. So I want to talk about 2 guys that are not listed here. So again, 7 wide receivers. Then we got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 players, not counting any quarterbacks. So again, when you look at these 2 guys and you say, hey, I know that guy is not a sleeper. Well, when it comes to a lot of people's rookie drafts, they might be, because they're going to fall past a lot of these guys on the list. So hopefully that clears up the definition for that. So first guy here, Nico Collins out of Michigan. So I'll play this clip here. Nico was taken 3rd round, pick 89 by the Texans, 6'4", 215. What Nico brings to the table is that he's one of the biggest wide receivers in this draft class. I feel like a lot of these guys had similar physical builds, a lot of gadget guys or guys that can line up in different areas in comparison to Nico, who stands 6'4". He's got a good build to him, and he's very different from the rest of this class. The size, the length, hands, body control in the air, these qualities with his physical traits help him go up and over cornerbacks, which I think will be very good for the league as a rookie. Having a guy who can go up and over and get those contested catches over guys that are smaller is going to make him pretty valuable in fantasy, I think, if it's in the right spots of the field. Run slant routes, but even lost my PowerPoint there. See if we can bring it back up. Quick technical difficulty, but we'll keep rolling. Don't want to start over. So again, playing guys in the NFL, I think it's beneficial to have that size and be able to go up and over. Again, runs slant routes. He can go vertical as well. If you look at the Texans, Randall Cobb, veteran, most likely in the slot. Brandon Cooks is most likely the wide receiver 1 on this team. I'm a big fan of Cooks. The big question mark, obviously, is who's going to be playing quarterback, which we don't know, and not going to dive too deep into that. I don't think that's going to change the potential for Nico Collins to be on the field because, again, Nico is a guy that could slot in as the other guy in the perimeter. If they have Cooks on one side, Cobb in the slot, then it's going to be either Nico Collins or Kiki Kuti. Chris Conley, not a fan of at all. But his opportunity is wide open. So that's why I think year one, this guy can come in and do some damage. Questions with his routes and the separation and some explosiveness and agility. But again, I think with the size and qualities, Nico brings something different to the table than a lot of these other wide receivers. And with the Texans not being super deep at the wide receiver position, I think this is a prime chance for a guy to step in and be a day one asset, which is great for fantasy. So if this guy's slipping in your draft, I'd consider him because, again, opportunity is key for fantasy. Next guy on the list, Amari Rogers, who is very different from the last guy we just talked about. So Amari, 3rd round, 85th overall pick in the draft. You'll see the guy throwing the ball looks familiar. Trevor Lawrence, who went number 1. Packers 3rd round. They have Devonta Adams and Aaron Rodgers, hopefully as a combination. But this team is lacking a true number 2. MVS, he's either great or he's terrible. No consistency. I used to like Allen Lazard, but again, the consistency is just not there, and he was dealing with some issues throughout the year. Devin Funchess is coming back, but again, big question mark. So another team, another wide receiver that has a clear chance to get early touches for fantasy. You look at him, like Sam from Fantasy Scouts described him as shifty, and he just loves that about him. That is completely true. Very agile with the ball in his hands. Played in the slot, but you'll see in some of these clips he stretches the field as well. And I think if Aaron Rodgers is indeed the quarterback, he can do both. He can hit him quick and let him run with the ball and also find this guy deep. 5'9", 212, kind of built like a running back, a lot of people have said, which I agree with here. If you just look at not super tall, but he's got a good compact build to him. And with the agile and the quickness, agility and the quickness, I think that's very good for fantasy if he gets the ball in his hands often. Short and medium schemed routes. So Clemson did a lot of schemed routes with Trevor Lawrence, and some question marks come with, hey, Amari Rogers, the size is questionable. Is the physicality of the game going to get to him? But I think with Clemson running a ton of schemed routes and plays that got the ball in his hands, I think the Packers can do the exact same thing with Amari Rogers, especially if it's Aaron Rodgers under center. But even if it's not, I think just scheming ways to get this guy the ball and find pockets of space is going to be great for fantasy. Clemson, 77 catches, 1,020 yards, 7 touchdowns with Trevor Lawrence. He had a lot of volume, and I think you have to like guys who come into the league coming from volume, because that's not always the case when it comes to production in fantasy. So the big point, let me go back to the big point here when it comes to these two guys is both guys, again, I listed so many guys that are going ahead of them in rookie drafts, but at the same time, both of these guys can be day one impacts for their teams. Is it guaranteed? No, but if you want to take a chance in your rookie drafts, if guys are slipping and this is a positional need, I'm going to try to get both of these guys, if not one of them. Again, opportunity and volume is very important to me when I look for guys that I want to add to my team. So both Nico Collins and Amari Rogers can be impacts. They can find some volume. Both have shown very diverse from each other qualities, but qualities that can be effective at the NFL level. So again, two guys to consider for your rookie drafts, especially if you have not done those or have one coming up. I'd say if you haven't really dug into this class too much, these guys are going later, probably third, fourth round in some leagues, depending on your format. So definitely give a look. Play it by ear when it comes to your actual draft that day, but two guys I definitely consider.